Alright, welcome back to P-Town E-Bike. This is going to be both an introduction of the bike to the channel and a 90-day review on the bike. The newest bike to the channel is going to be the Ariel Rider X52 volt. I'm sure as you can see right off the bat it is no longer in its stock fashion. I've made a few minor tweaks and upgrades to it just to make it more to my liking. But first, let's get to the overall review of the bike and the purchase experience. At the time I purchased the bike, which was May 2022, the bike was $2,399. And as far as value is concerned, for this style of bike, the cafe racer scrambler type bike is probably the best value that you're going to get in that price range, unless you want to step it up and get an Onyx or a Suron or something like that. It's one of the best values out there. 52 volt battery, 1,000 watt nominal, 2,000 watt peak motor in the rear hub. And there have been tons of review videos on YouTube just with the general specs of the bike, so I won't get too deep into that. But overall, very satisfied with the bike as it comes out of the box. I was getting speeds about 32 miles per hour. That's GPS verified. So, you know, you can't really ask for much more than that. And that's throttle only with no pedaling. One issue I did have with the bike when I first got it is that the red adjustment there for the front suspension I was not able to turn it at all. When I contacted Ariel Rider, they told me to basically use vice grips to try and turn it, which I did, and I was able to get it churned. But there is supposed to be some sort of a clicking, I guess, as it churns, as you adjust it. Mine doesn't make that clicking. They told me that's probably because the ball bearing has fallen out of it. They didn't have another one to ship me to replace it. So far I haven't noticed any performance issue with it. But we'll see how long it holds up. But that was my one issue out of the box with the bike. And it seems like every e-bike I get, I have a problem with the rear derailleur and not being able to smoothly shift through all the gears and having to do some adjusting there. So this was no exception. I had that problem also. On to the upgrades or improvements. Right off the bat, you'll notice I have moved from the factory seat, which was horrendously uncomfortable, not enough cushion there, to a seat I got from a seller on eBay. Very comfortable. It's a full length seat. I noticed I'm about 5'11". With the factory seat, I could not quite position myself back far enough where I felt comfortable pedaling the bike. The longer seat definitely solved that problem for me. So I would definitely recommend that as an upgrade if you were to get this bike. If you're 5'10" plus, finding a comfortable seating position with the factory seat is going to be really hard. The next thing I did was to add a second 52 volt battery back here in the back via battery bag. Not the cleanest installation, but I didn't want to drill into the frame to attach the bracket onto the bike. May do it at a future date, but as it stands right now, the battery bag holds it good, doesn't go anywhere, doesn't look the best, but it does serve the purpose. And I'm running both the batteries at the same time using the Fusion battery combiner. And I will tell you what, this thing has worked great, no problems whatsoever, and I picked up noticeable improvement in torque. Maybe we'll do some sort of test where I can show that when you're taking it out for some rides, because the battery can be turned off independently, so I can run it with one batteries or with one battery or both batteries at the same time. But I picked up about 2, maybe 3 miles per hour on the top end. So I'm topping out now about 35, maybe 36 with a slight downhill. And again, I'm 5'11", about 205, 210 on a bad day. So that's another great upgrade that I had. That battery combiner and that second battery extends the range a great deal. You don't see a lot of battery sag when you're on the throttle. Speaking of the throttle, excuse me, I also changed out the grips that came with it just for some red ones. But more importantly, I did it so that I could get the full twist throttle. The bike comes standard with a half twist. I don't particularly care for half twist. I have a motorcycle background, so having the full twist throttle, definitely something that I enjoy. I do find that I pedal a lot less when I have it, but since I've changed to the to the full twist throttle, but it's a lot more comfortable for me as far as hand positioning on the handlebars when I'm riding the bike. Basic foam mount, little top tube bag there just to carry, just what other little items that you need. The mirror, gotta have that because I'm out running errands and this thing with gas prices being so high, it has become my favorite get around town vehicle. Also, the last upgrade I did, and also maybe my second favorite, second to the battery blender, is that I upgraded the screen to a color screen. Now this is the 500C, I believe is the screen. There is some soldering of wires that needs to be done to accomplish this, but to me it's much better as far as visibility is concerned than the factory screen that came with it. I want to say the screen maybe was about $50, but again, just another quick, cheap, easy upgrade. If you know how to splice and solder wires, you'll be able to knock it out. I want to say there were maybe 4 or 5 wires that needed to be dealt with in order to make this work. But again, one of my favorite upgrades, and I like it because, as you can see, it actually shows you your battery voltage as opposed to just a bar. So you have a more detailed idea of what's going on with your battery and how much juice you have left, so you can calculate your range accordingly. But overall, after 90 days, I really have no complaints. One thing, I'm sorry, I forgot. These tires, functional. Yeah, the traction is not bad. Off-road, little noisy on pavement, but my God, anything, a thorn, a stick, so look at the tire too hard, it's gonna get a flat. So what I've done is I swear by flat out tire sealant. I have it in both tires as it stands, and I've had no more problems. I have a lot of goat head thorns in my area, so whenever I take it off the beaten path, I'm definitely going to get some of those in the tires. But ever since I put a flat out in there, I've had no more problems. But at some point in time, I am going to upgrade to a different tire. I'm thinking about maybe the Huntsman's, the type of tires that come on the Super 73. Those seem like a good tire because I need dual purpose. I live in a semi-rural area, so I hit a lot of gravel, a lot of sand, and quite frankly, I like to take it off road a little bit when I can. And it's held up pretty good. I know a lot of people complain about the rear suspension. Not a lot of give there. As I understand, it's like a 1,000-pound spring. I may do something with that at a later date to make the ride a little bit more comfortable. But so far, nothing I've done has given me any jolts up my spine or anything like that. So no complaints. I did change the pedals that come with the bike. I wear a size 11.5 shoe. And most pedals that come with bikes are just a little bit too small for me. So I changed the pedals on all the bikes that I get. And I just went with the red just to try and match the color of the bike. Cheap pedals off of Amazon, but they serve the purpose. No complaints out of them so far. And I think that's about it as far as upgrades. Now I do plan to clean this wiring up a bit. I got the housing for the controller kind of hanging open. There's a different way that I can route these wires to make this install of the battery blender a bit more clean. So that is something I plan to do in the future. Currently investigating if there is a controller upgrade that I can do to the bike, because I feel like there's just a little bit more that can be squeezed out of this 1,000-watt motor. If you can just run, I think the factory controller runs about 35 amps to it. If we can get 40 or maybe 45 amps to it, we may be able to get ourselves up into that 40 mile per hour range, maybe with the 252-volt batteries. But that's something I'm looking into, and maybe that'll come to the channel later. Sneak peek, another bike that we got that'll be coming to the channel. It's one we picked up for my wife. Brand I was not familiar with, but been pretty happy with so far. But we'll do a review on that at a later time. But that is the introduction and the 90-day review of the Ariel Rider X Class 52-volt. I personally recommend when you're riding, when you get to the bikes that are going, up above, 20, 25 miles an hour, get yourself some full face protection. I went over the front of handlebars once in my life. Wasn't fun. Don't want to do it now. Like my teeth, exactly where they are. So just a recommendation. Everybody, obviously it's free to do what they want, but I strongly suggest it. It's better to have it and not need it than not have it. It's the way I look at it. But anyway, that's enough on safety. It's the Ariel Rider X52 volt. All in all, a great bang for the buck. I think they're still $23.99 as of the making of this video. If you're looking for a solid e-bike and you like the scrambler type, you like the cafe racer style of bikes, I don't really think you can go wrong with this one. I do know that they've changed it now. There are a couple of features that the newer model has that this one doesn't, like integrated turn signals, a much better and brighter headlight, and they also, I think, offer now a step-through version of it for those that don't like to have that bar in the middle, make it a little bit more convenient with the step-through. But all in all, a pretty good bike outside of that problem with the suspension fork when I first got it. And like I said, we'll see how that holds up over time. But so far, it hasn't collapsed on me or caused me any problems. But I am concerned with it because you know, if it's missing a ball bearing, that means it's missing something that was supposed to be there. So don't know if that matters or not. I do know that Ariel Rider, just like a lot of other e-bike manufacturers, are having problems, you know, with supply lines. excuse me, getting parts. So you know, it's just one of those things you have to keep in mind when you're ordering these bikes. Especially when you're dealing with a company that's direct to consumer. Good idea to make sure you're a little bit handy. You know, you have some tools, and you know, don't be afraid to jump into it. It seems a bit intimidating at first. You know, when I first, I'd never combined batteries or used a battery blender or anything like that before. But there are a lot of good resources online, Facebook, etc., where you can get some detailed instructions. Same thing with wiring up the color controller. Never done anything like that before. I had soldered wires before, and you know, on a limited scale. But this is all, you know, like e-bikes and such, is all brand new territory for me. But the Ariel Rider X52 volt, definitely recommend it. Get that dual battery, get yourself a little bit more torque, a little bit more top end speed, and put some flat out or some sort of sealant in those tires, because the factory tires are just are pretty thin. I think they're supposed to be puncture resistant. I don't see how, because I've had multiple punctures in these tubes when I first got the bike, and it really was just from little goat head thorns. Nothing, you know, no big nails or anything crazy that you think should puncture a tire, but it definitely did. So get that sealant in your tires first thing you're doing, so you don't get disappointed and ride your bike and end up with a flat tire, you know, 10 minutes into it, because the tires are definitely a weak point. Maybe they should have they skimped a little bit. That's how they kept the price so low, definitely on the tires. But that's it. This is P-Town E-Bike. Please make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. I did pick up a good GoPro cam, so I'm going to be getting some riding videos out to you guys. We'll start probably with the X Class, because it is my favorite one to ride. And then I told you we have another review coming. Different style of bike, but solid bike all the same. All right, this is P-Town E-Bike again. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll talk to you guys later.